Oh my God.
Seriously. I was like, tell them 500. So she said, and I'm standing right next to her. And she goes, oh yeah, 500. And then she puts her hand over the phone again. She goes, they want to know if that's per hour. And when do you start charging? Is it from when you leave? And I was just like, holy fuck, they actually want to pay me some decent money and get me to New York. And so we settled on a fee. I got paid for the first time. What was awesome, it was the first ever trip Kaylene and I had done away, because she didn't want to come on any of these fishing adventures.
So business class flights for two?
For two, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
holy hecker, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was because I gave them an exclusive, because by the end of that day, the Jay Leno show, Jimmy Kimmel show, they'd all been, and they just said, look, all the other shows are going to be in touch with you, but if you can give us like a 1 month where you don't go on, no, it wasn't even that long, 2 weeks I think, because I ended up doing the Today, I did some other CBS shows, and then I did like Today Show and a few others shortly after. So I literally went from making a show in a shed that I built myself, like as in dug the footings by hand, mixed the concrete in a concrete mixer, built this little shed, put a computer in it and called it Tight Lines Media, or Tight Lines Television at the time. Went from there to sitting at the front of a plane with Kaylene, flying to New York, on Broadway in New York. And if anyone's seen the pictures of like...
Yeah, the Ed Sullivan Theatre, it's iconic.
Yeah, it is. So they put us up in a suite straight across the road from the Ed Sullivan Theatre. Beautiful suite. And every time I looked out the window, I could see the Ed Sullivan Theatre. I'm like, fuck, tomorrow I'm on there, you know, and it made me so nervous.
I've got goosebumps.
And I'm like, and I guess it was a mistake, but I watched an episode of The Late Show, because I was like, I've got to, you know, I'd not done a TV interview in my life. Like, I'd not done talkback radio. I'd not done any media. I'd just been out with my mates doing this outrageous stuff, and it was always about scrambling to do stuff. But it was with guys that I knew. I'd done nothing live, so I get over there. I'm like, any mistake I make, there's no stepping it back or anything. So I was incredibly nervous about that. I watched the show, and the guests were Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, who were in a movie together. They did the top 10, and Will Smith. And I'm watching these guys going back and forth with David Letterman, like guys at the top of their game, like massive celebrities, but just how sharp their wits were, cracking jokes back and forth, and I was just like, fuck, I can't do that. I'm going to walk out on that stage and I'm just going to clam up. And I was just like, it made me so nervous. And Kaylene did an amazing job of boosting up my confidence. She was like, you know what? Fuck. She said, you know what? Being yourself, got you here.
Fuck, she's a good one, eh?
Yeah.
Hang on, I got some tissues under here if you
That
need them.
happened, man.
Well,
I told you I can't talk about people.
yeah. No, I'll tell you what, it's mate, it's a wonderful relationship you guys have got, and it's good that you you can appreciate everything she does. Like,
thanks for the tissues, mate. Does someone tip you off?
Well, no, I usually have them up here because it can get quite emotional in here. But I had them under the table because I thought, we won't need them for Maddie boy.
No, Maddie, no, you'll be all right.
No, that's cool. But I mean, it's obvious, mate.
Sure.
The fact that she let you get a mortgage out on the house for this wild dream.
And that's where it literally landed both of us. We were on Broadway in New York, like at the epicenter of media around the world, you know. And she said, look, I know what'll make you feel more confident. And she goes, it always works. Let's go shopping and buy you some new clothes. And I was like, fuck, oh, nice try. See, I give about as much care about shopping as what Kaylene gives about fishing.
Yeah,
and that was the last thing I was going to do. I was like, no. I said, thanks for the advice. It's great. I am going to be myself. So I'm just going to wear shorts and jeans.
Yeah, like a half a t-shirt and like three-quarter cargos or something.
Because they were my best pants.
But I think that suited you. You can't be something you're not.
That's right.
It wouldn't have looked right if you went out there in a black suit dressed like fucking Will Smith.
Yeah, exactly. So we went across there, and it was Waitangi Day, which was my son's 4th birthday. So 4 years to the day earlier, I delivered my son in the front seat of a truck in a but that's another story.
Oh,
Gee, I
we'll
won't
get
go
to
down that, but it was ruthless. But walked across the road. It was -6 degrees. There was snow everywhere, and all the New York locals are all rugged up, going about their daily business, and looking at me like, "Who the fuck's this guy skidding?" I was skidding on the black ice and my jandals, and
Yeah, the jandals.
yeah. Toes are freezing. We walked through the backstage door just like we were told to, right on time. And a young woman by the name of Anita said, "Look, I'm your assistant while you're here. I'll get you anything you need, and welcome to the show." And she said, "David's really looking forward to meeting you." And the booking people, everyone I'd spoken to had said the same thing. And I'm like, that's so kind. They know I'm a rookie. They're boosting my ego by saying that. And I was like, cool, so do I get to go see him now and we'll talk about what we're going to talk about for the interview? Oh, no, you'll see David when you go out on stage. You'll be fine. I'm thinking, shit, they've got no idea that I've not done anything like this before. But anyway, Kaylene's still done a really good job of building my confidence. So we jump in the lift, go up, the lift door's open, and I see my name written on the door with a star above it. And my vision honestly went blurry. I thought, fuck, I'm going to part. Like, they think I'm a celebrity like Will Smith or like... And I've just been... I still felt I was bluffing my way onto TV. I was an imposter on TV in New Zealand, and here I was at the Letterman show, and I'm going to get found out, like, big time when I walk out on that stage.
It's like the saying, fish out of water. Now you know what it's like for a marlin on the deck of your boat.
Yeah, not many of them end up on the deck of the boat, but so like I did, I just felt incredibly nervous, and not too much. I'm pretty unflappable, with the exception of talking about people I care about. So I opened the door to the changing room, and the first thing I noticed was the mirror with all the lights around it. And I said to Kaylene, shit, it's just like the Muppets. Because I know a lot of people won't understand that, but from our vintage, you'd watch the Muppet Show, and Miss Piggy used to sit in front of the mirror with all the lights around it, and it was exactly the same. I was like, holy shit. And then Anita started cracking up, and I had a laugh, and that lightened things. And the next thing I see was all the food that they had in the dressing room, and they had they had some champagne on ice, and they had all these amazing canapes, and I thought, oh, sweet. So this must be where the feed happens, because the other guests were Lil Wayne, the rapper, and Isla Fisher, the actress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was going to be Scarlett Johansson, which I was excited about, but they switched out late in the piece. But
Isla Fisher's amazing, though. Married to Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but anyway, so all like a billion leagues bigger than wherever I was or ever have been. So I'm just kind of like, holy shit, I'm going to get to meet these guys. This is where the feed happens. And I said, oh, so when do we have the feed? Like afterwards, I'm kind of expecting it's like after a rugby game, someone's going to come in and do the big spread at the table and do a karakia, and then the visiting side goes first, and you have a feed and have a catch up, and then everyone goes home. She goes, oh no, they've all got this in their dressing rooms too. And I'm like, there's a lot of food. And she said, I said, who's it all for then? She said, it's for you and your entourage. And I'm just like, it's just me and the missus. And so anyway, I was way too nervous to eat. I hadn't eaten on the plane on the way over. I'd had half a slice of pizza, and I felt like being sick that day because I was so nervous about what I was about to do. So anyway, I go downstairs, go into the green room, and they walk me to the wings of the stage, and they said, when you hear your name being said by David, walk out there, shake hands with him, and get into it. And that's what I did. And it went like a blur. It felt good. I think he made things very easy for me. I cracked a bit of a joke, and I thought it would fall flat. It didn't. And
what was it? What was the joke?
He asked. I told him about getting my balls slashed open, and and I'm like, that's pretty out there for US TV.
Yeah, it's very conservative.
It was. They are very conservative for TV. So they actually beeped like the bit where I said, it's important to have balls doing with the shit that I do. So they beeped that, but the crowd laughed, and that was a bit off-putting too, because I'd never been on any sort of stage before. I think school production maybe, but the lights are so bright you can't see the crowd, and it was very cold. It was something that struck me. It was cold inside the theatre. The lights were really bright, and it was just like black. And then as soon as people laughed, I realised how many people were there and that they were close, but I couldn't see them, and it was a bit off-putting. But David he was really good. We had a good chat, and quite a way into it, probably a little bit like this. I'm yarning away, and there's guys, off stage, out of shot, giving it this one.
Wrap it up.
Cut it. But David kept asking questions, and it ended up going well over like 2.5 minutes over which for US like for the ratings they get, that's costing them a lot of money because it's eating into the commercial time. And as soon as they cut for commercial break, the first thing he said to me is, I've really been looking forward to meeting you. Like everyone had said. I said, honestly though? And he's like, I said, I saw you on here with Al Pacino. He goes, oh no, don't get me wrong, they're all really good guys. But he said, they're on here to do their jobs and promote their movies. He said, it's just neat talking to someone that's passionate about something. I was like, wow, you know, you can just be yourself and you can get this far by not pretending to be anything other than yourself. And it sort of, and up until that point, I had no time to reflect about where I was going or the enormity of what was happening. And I remember going back to the dressing room, Kaylene was crying, trembling.
Was she just with pride or?
Yeah.
Shit.
Fuck. Yeah.
Mate, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Jeez, mate, I've got goosebumps hearing this because I suppose you seem like a guy that's always just got your head down, grinding forward, and I suppose this is like a tangible moment where you can, you know, rather than keep reaching for the next branch on the tree, you can pause and look at the view that you've created.
I've not done that and partly because it's been so busy. You know, it's always been the next thing. Got to do the next thing. You make commitments to people, to sponsors, so you're always busy trying not to let people down. So you don't have time to look back and say, "Geez, I did good." You know, but yeah,
you did do good.
Yeah,
it was great. And then you did Lines of Coke with Lil Wayne.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Did you meet Lil Wayne?
Oh yeah, so he was waiting for me. When we got up the lift, at least I mean I'd heard his music and I'd seen rap videos. And
you don't strike me as being a Lil Wayne guy.
No. But I mean, but I came out the lift and there's all of these black guys. And one was particularly little. And he was. And I think my ears were still ringing from the nerves and the adrenaline of being on stage. And he dapped me up, sort of bro-shaked me, gave me a hug. And I think he said, that was cool, man. Like, that was cool, man. I think that's what he said, but it was my ears were ringing. And then he jumped in the lift and went down as I came out. And then that's when I went into the dressing room. Kaylene was trembling. And it was just like this moment. And then in the very next moment, I'm like, shit, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten anything other than half a slice of pizza for the last 40 hours. And I saw all this food. Trouble was, I had to go on a meeting with the big boss at Discovery Channel. Like, they were wanting to get my signature to do a deal, you know, an international broadcast deal. And so I couldn't stay and eat the food and hang out to meet the other guests, even though Little Wayne and Isla had already actually gone. You know, there was no after party, you know. It wasn't like the post-match at a rugby game. So I just said to Anita, look, you guys have the food. And she said, no, we're not allowed it. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, and there was salmon canapes, these amazing pastries. It was just all this beautiful food, you know, fresh fruit. And I said, well, what happens to it? She goes, it all gets thrown out because we're not allowed it. Because we had a diva. She didn't name names. She said we had a diva guest on a while back, and she accused the staff of stealing the strawberries while she was on stage. So we've got this policy: no one's allowed to touch the food because it caused this thing. Oh, that's weird. So I said, can I have a doggy bag then?
Oh God, you didn't.
I did.
Oh my God, you didn't.
I did. Well, I mean, it's a waste, you know. Like
it wouldn't have been good. It would have been that grey Atlantic salmon. It wouldn't have been the good.
I don't know. But, I mean,
I'm not a real. Did you actually?
I did. So she went around. She got the catering containers that was all brought in, and she said no one's actually ever asked before. But yeah, sure. So I loaded them up. And I got heaps of the chocolate pastries because I thought I was going to go out and tear after this meeting, Kenny and I were going to go and tear New York a new one. I had this weight off my shoulders, and I thought, when I get back booze, these chocolate pastries are going to go down a treat, especially. And then she saw me looking at the champagne, and she goes, "Do you want that as well?" I'm like, yeah. And I was like, and she goes, "Yeah, grab it." You know, she was like, "Grab it." So I tucked that under the wing because Kenny and I had never had. I think we'd had on a one special occasion we had a glass of Moet. Once, and it was so I'm just like, yeah, this is baller. I've got champagne, I've got all this amazing like wedding food.
Wedding food.
It was, you know, you get a lot of the fancy little nibbles at weddings, you know, like this is, well, you know, we had a wedding reception at the Weymouth Cosy Club. Ours was more sausage rolls, but so we go down on the lift, and I'm just like feeling so happy that I didn't, not that I'd smash this interview or anything.
You didn't look like a dick.
I didn't look like a dick,
yeah.
and I was honestly worried about letting New Zealand down. That was my thing. I was like, not many Kiwis have ever been on this show, let alone been like a main guest, and I wanted people to go away going, oh, Kiwis are like cool people. That's what I wanted. So, and you know, I've always been real proud Kiwi. So like that was like a real big thing for me. I was like, I felt like I went away. I said really good things about New Zealand. I made sure I got that in and said it's such a great place. And I'm like, yes, I didn't screw it up. And my mates aren't going to be able to give me shit about it. Like, so I was just feeling really good.